The moment the notification popped up on Prince Harry's phone, his entire world tilted. It was one of those moments where time fractures, where a single message, a single image, a single link can drag a person straight into the deepest pit of confusion, panic, and anger. It read, "You need to see this before the world does." You ever notice how the most destructive messages always start like that? Not with context, not with compassion, just a detonator disguised as concern. But before we continue, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell for updates. Harry clicked, and within 3 seconds, his pulse shot up like a rocket leaving the launch pad. It was a video, a grainy, dimly lit, strangely edited clip that seemed to show Meghan, his wife, in an intimate moment with someone who should never appear in such footage. The face, the voice, the silhouette. It was unmistakably meant to be Prince Andrew. Except something was wrong, deeply wrong. But in that moment, Harry didn't analyze. He didn't breathe. He didn't blink. He just saw red. And above all that, the sender's name made his stomach flip. Markus Anderson. The same Markus who once stood close. The same Markus who introduced Meghan to people in the early days. The same Markus who moved like a shadow between celebrity circles and royal whispers. The same Markus the British tabloids loved to treat as Meghan's quiet puppet master. And now? He was sending Harry a video designed to nuke the Sussex marriage from orbit. Why? Why now? Why this? That's the question that will anchor everything you're about to hear. Because this story, this volcanic eruption of rage, accusation, betrayal, and manipulation, didn't start with a video. It didn't start with Markus. And it certainly didn't start with Prince Andrew. It started years earlier. With fractures. With resentments. With misplaced trust. With secrets people assumed would never get weaponized. But before we dig into how this firestorm exploded, let's revisit those first few seconds. The moment Harry clicked play. Imagine someone sends you a clip of the person you love most in the world. A compromising clip. A destructive clip. A clip designed to make you question everything. Their honesty, their loyalty, their identity. And imagine it comes from someone who knows your weaknesses, your fears, your vulnerabilities. What would you do? Most people think they'd stay calm. Analyze it. Look for inconsistencies. Ask questions. Harry didn't. He reacted like a man whose entire emotional wiring had been yanked out of his chest. He slammed the laptop shut. Then he reopened it. Then he scrubbed through the footage. Then he swore. Loudly. Repeatedly. Then he began pacing. That fast, frantic pacing that only happens when a person is trying to outrun their own thoughts. And the anger was instant. Not just anger at the video. Not just anger at Meghan. But anger at the audacity. Because the clip had a caption. In case you're wondering why she always defended him. Defended who? Prince Andrew? Meghan never defended Andrew. She stayed away from that entire mess like anyone with sense. But the message wasn't trying to be accurate. It was trying to be inflammatory. And here's what makes this story matter right now. The technology used to create fake, realistic, damaging videos has become terrifyingly advanced. Deepfakes, AI composites, voice models, visual overlays. People can be inserted into situations they never lived, in places they never visited, doing things they would never do. And those videos can destroy marriages, destroy reputations, destroy nations. So when Harry saw that video, even if it was AI generated, his panic wasn't irrational. It was human. And Markus knew exactly how to weaponize that humanity. But before we get to the conspiracy behind the clip, the motive, the timing, and the devastating fallout, we need to talk about something deeper. Why Harry was uniquely vulnerable to a video like this. Why he didn't stop. Why he didn't think. Why he reacted like a man cornered. Because whether you like Harry or not, his emotional foundation has never been stable. His trauma isn't subtle. His triggers aren't hidden. They're public. They're documented. They're the very things tabloids have exploited for profit. Losing Diana. Growing up in an institution that punished emotion. Trust broken again and again. A lifetime of betrayal by the press. A childhood built on whispers and half-truths. And, let's be honest, conflicts within his marriage that were always bubbling beneath the surface. So when Markus sent that clip, he didn't just send a video. He struck a wound Harry never healed. And Markus? Markus is no amateur. He's no impulsive troublemaker. He's calculated. He watches. He waits. He studies. He knows how to break a person using the smallest tools. Why did he have the video? Why would he send it? Why now? Those answers take us into the darkest corners of Meghan's past connections. The people she trusted before the royal family. The alliances she built in Hollywood. The networks she thought she left behind. And the enemies she didn't even know she had. Because this wasn't random. This wasn't impulsive. This was strategic. The Royal Variety Performance 2025 was supposed to be a night of unity, a moment when William and Harry, even if they weren't on speaking terms, were at least under the same public narrative. But Meghan's sudden involvement behind the scenes, along with whispers about a new documentary in development, had stirred up forces who preferred the status quo. And when Meghan inserted herself into anything involving the monarchy, someone always pushed back. Hard. The video was more than an attack. It was a warning. But here's what you need to understand. Harry didn't know that. Not yet. All he knew was that Markus sent him something designed to obliterate the last remaining trust in his marriage. So he stormed out of the house. He didn't say where he was going. He barely even grabbed his keys. Meghan called after him, confused, startled, caught off guard, but he didn't answer. He threw himself into the car, slammed the door, and sped off. And while the world slept, Prince Harry was driving like a man chasing ghosts. You ever witness someone trying to outrun a thought? They press the accelerator like the road might swallow their anger for them. But you can't outrun betrayal, real or perceived. Here's where things get even more disturbing. Because while Harry was spiraling, someone else was watching. Someone else was tracking his reactions. Someone else was mapping every emotional move he made. This wasn't just about breaking a marriage. This was about triggering a public collapse, a scandal, a media meltdown, a destabilization. And Markus? He didn't act alone. Behind him was an entire network, people with a stake in keeping Meghan discredited, Harry isolated, and the royal family narrative tightly controlled. That's why this story matters now, because it shows how fragile truth has become, how easy it is to fake evidence, how quickly a marriage can be attacked, how simple it is to fracture a family with a single, manipulated video. And the worst part? This wasn't even the first video. This was just the one sent to Harry. 3 more versions existed, each edited differently, each designed for a different audience, each prepared to leak to the press if Harry didn't break. That part comes later in the story, but remember it now. Because Harry wasn't facing a single attack. He was walking into an ambush. But before we move into Chapter 1, before we dissect Markus's real motive, the timeline, the strategy, and the royal family's silent involvement, we need to examine the moment after Harry drove off. The moment he replayed the video alone. The moment he paused it frame by frame. The moment he noticed something that wasn't right. A glitch. A distortion. A flicker. Something artificial. Something impossible. And that tiny flicker, that microsecond of digital distortion, is what will unravel this entire scandal. But not yet. Because before Harry discovers the truth, someone else gets to him first. And what they tell him, what they reveal, what they admit, it changes everything. The first question Harry asked himself, long after the initial wave of rage crashed over him, wasn't, is the video real? Or even, why would Markus send this? It was something far more primal. Why did he want me to see this alone? Think about that for a moment. If someone truly wanted to warn you about your spouse, they wouldn't send a cryptic message in the middle of the night. They wouldn't choose that exact moment when you're exhausted, stressed, and vulnerable. They wouldn't hide behind a short, taunting line like, "You need to see this before the world does." They would call, explain, provide context. But Markus didn't do any of that. He sent a digital grenade with no safety pin. So let's rewind to that night, back to the exact moment Harry stormed out. Because that reaction tells us everything about why this story spirals into one of the most psychologically explosive nights of his life. When he pulled out of the driveway, his breathing was so uneven he had to lower the window just to get air. The cold wind slapped him awake, but it didn't calm him. It just stirred everything worse. The anger wasn't neat. It wasn't clean. It was chaotic, a storm made of old wounds, old fears, and old insecurities he thought he had buried when he left the royal family behind. But the truth? He never left them behind. They lived inside him. And betrayal, even suggested betrayal, hits differently when your whole childhood was shaped by secrecy, affairs, and scandals you weren't allowed to question. So as he drove, his mind kept firing questions like bullets. Was this why Meghan had been distant lately? Was this why Markus suddenly resurfaced after months of silence? Was this some twisted attempt to manipulate him? Was he being targeted? Or worse, was he being mocked? You ever feel your mind shifting between anger and fear in seconds? That was Harry. But here's something crucial. While Harry was spiraling, Markus was watching. Literally. Because the link Markus sent, the one labeled Private Secured Preview, it wasn't just a normal video link. It was trackable. Every time Harry replayed the clip, paused it, rewound it, opened it again, a digital footprint pinged back to the original sender. So while Harry drove through the Los Angeles night, Markus was sitting somewhere, not in panic, not in confusion, but in full control, watching Harry fall apart frame by frame. Why? Because this wasn't just about destroying trust. It was about measuring it, seeing how fast Harry crumbled, seeing whether he would confront Meghan, seeing whether he would run to someone else, seeing who he would call, seeing who he still trusted. This was a psychological map, and Markus was drawing it in real time. Now here's where things get even more sinister. The version he sent Harry wasn't the first, not the only, not even the most damaging. It was customized, tailored, edited precisely to hit Harry's deepest insecurities, the fear of being humiliated, blindsided, and made a fool of. This video was designed to break him emotionally. But here's the twist. Markus didn't create it. He forwarded it from someone else. And that someone else becomes very important later. But for now, stick with Harry, alone in the car, replaying the clip, replaying the conversation he planned to have, replaying the accusations he wanted to scream, replaying every moment Meghan ever seemed secretive, every unanswered question, every suspicious silence. Because when a person is in pain, the brain doesn't look for truth. It looks for patterns. And patterns can lie. After 20 minutes of driving, Harry finally pulled over in an empty parking lot. The city lights bounced off the windshield. His hands shook as he grabbed his phone again. He clicked play, but this time, he watched with different eyes. This time, he wasn't reacting emotionally. He was hunting for evidence. Something felt off. Something felt too clean, too arranged, too convenient. And then he saw it. A glitch, a flicker, a digital seam, just for a millisecond. He hit pause, rewound, slowed the playback. The flicker happened again. A shadow misaligned, a jawline shifting unnaturally, a reflection that didn't match the environment. And then, the most telling detail of all, a pixelated shimmer around the face. Anyone who knows deepfake technology recognizes that shimmer. It's the digital equivalent of a fingerprint. Harry's first reaction wasn't relief. It wasn't calm. It wasn't clarity. It was something far more explosive. Someone tried to destroy my marriage on purpose. That realization hit harder than the video itself. Because betrayal is one thing. But being manipulated into believing betrayal, being psychologically set up, that's a different level of cruelty. He tossed the phone onto the passenger seat and let out a sound that wasn't quite a shout and wasn't quite a sob. Something raw, something wounded, something that had been living inside him for decades. But here's the part that will matter most in the chapters ahead. The discovery of the glitch didn't calm Harry down. It made him angrier. Because if the video wasn't real, then someone created it. Someone sent it. Someone expected him to shatter. Someone wanted to break his marriage, his trust, his sanity. And at the center of that someone, at least in Harry's mind, stood Markus Anderson. But why would Markus do something like this? Why risk everything? His reputation, his connections, his relationship with Meghan, to hurt Harry? The answer isn't simple. It's layered, personal, professional, historical. See, Meghan and Markus had a friendship built on access, influence, social navigation. Markus was a gatekeeper, someone who opened doors for her when Hollywood was still deciding whether to embrace her. But when Meghan became royalty, those dynamics changed. Harry didn't trust Markus. Markus didn't like being pushed aside. And Meghan? She was caught in the middle. That tension turned into distance. Distance turned into resentment. Resentment turned into opportunity. So when a group of very powerful people needed someone close enough to Meghan to pull off a psychological operation, Markus became the perfect candidate. But we'll get there. For now, you need to understand something crucial about Harry's mindset. Once he saw the glitch, once he realized the video was crafted, not captured, he knew he couldn't go home. Not yet. Because if he confronted Meghan too soon, he'd be reacting emotionally, and Markus, or whoever was behind him, could twist that. Leak it. Spin it. Make him look unhinged. He needed clarity. He needed the truth. He needed to know whether Meghan knew Markus had resurfaced, whether she suspected anything, whether she was hiding things. So instead of going home, he called someone. Someone unexpected. Someone he swore he'd never call again. Someone who answered on the first ring. The conversation that follows is one of the most important turning points in this entire story, because the person Harry called didn't just know about manipulated videos targeting the royal circle. They warned him about them months earlier. But before we get to that, we need to answer a question you might be thinking right now. Why didn't Harry call Meghan? Simple. When trust cracks, even slightly, the mind does something dangerous. It expands the crack into a canyon. If the video was real, he didn't want to hear her lie. If the video was fake, he didn't want her to know he doubted her. And if Markus was setting him up, he didn't want to fall into the trap by confronting her prematurely. So he called the one person who had been tracking digital misinformation campaigns targeted at high-profile figures in Britain and abroad. A person with access. A person with inside knowledge. A person who had warned Harry that his marriage would eventually be targeted. But that person wasn't a friend, or a relative, or a royal aide. It was someone far more complicated. Someone Harry never expected would help him. And what they told him, it ripped the floor out from under everything he thought he knew. Because the video wasn't the beginning of the attack. It was phase 3. The phone rang only once before a voice, calm, steady, familiar in a way Harry wished it wasn't, answered with a quiet, almost cautious, "I wondered when you'd call." That voice belonged to the last person anyone would expect Harry to reach out to on a night like this. Not a friend, not a therapist, not an advisor, not William. This was someone outside the royal circle. Someone who operated in the gray spaces between politics, media, cybersecurity, and influence. Someone who never appeared in tabloid photos, never spoke on the record, never sat beside Harry in public, and yet had more impact on the Sussex narrative than almost anyone else. This was the person who had once told Harry, months earlier, during a cold and uncomfortable conversation, "You won't see the attack coming, but when it hits, it will be digital, not personal. And it will be designed to make you destroy your own marriage." At the time, Harry brushed it off as paranoia. Tonight, he realized it had been prophecy. "You saw it?" the voice asked. Harry didn't answer immediately. His jaw clenched, eyes burning with the kind of rage that mixes with heartbreak until they're indistinguishable. "It's fake," Harry finally said. "It has to be." "It is," the voice replied without hesitation. "But that's not the real question, is it?" Harry's breath hitched. "You want to know why you," the voice continued, "were the first target? Not Meghan. Not Andrew. Not the royal family. Harry, why are you talking like you knew this was coming?" he snapped. "I did," the voice said. "I just didn't know Markus Anderson would be the delivery system." Harry froze. "Delivery system?" he repeated. "Are you implying Markus didn't make the video?" "That's exactly what I'm implying." Silence. Heavy. Dangerous. The wind outside rocked the parked car. City lights flickered off the windshield. Somewhere in the distance, a siren wailed, low and distant, like a warning. "You need to drive somewhere safe," the voice said. "Now." "Safe from who?" Harry asked. "From the people tracking your reactions." Harry felt his chest tighten. "They're monitoring me?" "They're monitoring everything," the voice replied. "Every replay, every pause, every second your screen stays on that clip. And they're not just watching you for emotional impact. They're mapping your behavior." "Why?" Harry demanded. "To predict your next move." Harry felt his stomach drop. He looked down at the phone where the paused video still sat on the screen like a toxin. "Listen carefully," the voice continued. "What you saw tonight is part of phase 3. That means phases 1 and 2 already happened. And you didn't see them because they weren't meant to hit you directly." "What does that even mean?" Harry growled, his voice rising. "What phases? What are you talking about? Start explaining." "Now." The voice exhaled, not in irritation, but in the way someone does when they're about to drag another person into a truth so heavy it could break them. "Do you remember when Meghan received that anonymous message 2 months ago?" the voice asked. "The one she deleted?" Harry's eyebrows shot up. "She didn't tell anyone about that." "How do you know?" "Because that message was phase 1, the voice said. A simple test. It was designed to see how she reacts to anonymous threats. She ignored it. Good instinct. But they took note. Who is they? Harry pressed. The group orchestrating this, the voice answered. And no, it's not just Markus. He's a cog, a messenger boy, a facilitator. But the architects? They're bigger than him. Harry gripped the steering wheel so hard his knuckles whitened. And Phase 2? He asked, afraid to hear the answer. Phase 2 was the leaked rumor about Meghan meeting with a certain high-profile figure privately in Los Angeles, the voice said. Only 5 people in the world knew about that meeting, and you weren't one of them. Harry's breath caught. He remembered the rumor. The tabloids ate it up. Meghan dismissed it as nonsense, insisted it was a fabricated story meant to stir the pot. And Harry believed her. Now he wasn't so sure. But not because he doubted Meghan. Because he doubted the world. Because tonight proved that people would go to terrifying lengths to create lies so believable they could shatter a family. Harry swallowed hard. What was the purpose of Phase 2? To test public reaction, the voice said. Test how quickly a false narrative spreads. Measure how the media treats her. But more importantly, to test you. Harry blinked. Me? Yes, the voice said. They wanted to know whether you would defend her, blame her, or stay silent. And I defended her, Harry whispered. Yes, the voice said. And that's why we're here now. What does that even mean? It means they escalated. Harry leaned back, mind racing. Okay, he said, forcing steadiness into his breathing. Let's assume you're right. That someone has been staging this. That Markus sent me the video, but someone else created it. Why me? Why us? Why now? You already know the answer, the voice said quietly. No, Harry insisted. I don't. Yes, the voice repeated, impatient now. You do. Because every time you and Meghan move 1 inch toward independence, a certain group loses something. Money, power, influence, control. The words hung heavy in the air. Are you saying this is political? Harry asked. Everything involving your family is political, the voice replied. Every move you make has consequences. So when Meghan started negotiating deals again, real deals, it triggered alarm bells in places you don't even realize exist. Harry gritted his teeth. So they decided to blow up my marriage? It's easier to neutralize a couple than a brand, the voice said. You and Meghan together are power. You apart are chaos. Harry felt a wave of nausea. This wasn't a simple smear campaign. This was strategic sabotage. Okay, Harry said slowly. But where does Markus fit into all this? Markus was always a useful bridge, the voice explained. He has access to both of you. He knows your emotional soft spots. He understands your past. And he owes favors to people you don't want to owe anything to. Harry stared ahead at the empty parking lot, the silence pressing in. So he sent me the video to provoke a reaction, Harry said. Correct. And the reaction would be recorded, documented, analyzed. Yes. And then what? The voice paused. Then spoke the words Harry didn't expect. They planned for you to confront Meghan tonight. While you were emotional, angry, raw, they hoped you'd lose control. They wanted you recorded shouting, slamming things, walking out again, maybe even talking about divorce. Harry squeezed his eyes shut. Why would they want that? Because Phase 4 is the leak, the voice said. A leak they can only execute if they have proof your marriage is unstable, proof you're cracking under pressure, proof of conflict, proof of distrust, proof of your temper. A chill crawled up Harry's spine. They want to break you publicly before the footage goes out. No, the voice corrected. They want to break you publicly with the footage. Harry went completely still. You mean? Yes, the voice said. There are 3 more versions of the video, and one of them is edited to look like a confession. Harry's heart hammered in his chest. Confession of what? That Meghan admitted to an affair. Harry's eyes widened. That never happened. I know, the voice said. But it won't matter. The footage is tailored to manipulate public opinion. They don't need truth. They need reaction. Harry felt the air leave his lungs. And Markus, he whispered. What's his role in Phase 4? He was supposed to send version 2, the voice said. The one with audio added. The one that would push you from anger into devastation. Harry felt his fists clench in his lap. But he didn't send it, Harry said. He only sent the first one. That's because he panicked, the voice said. Panicked? Harry repeated. Yes. Something went wrong on his end. Someone he didn't expect showed up. Someone who questioned him. Someone who interrupted the plan. Someone who scared him enough to delay phase 4. Harry felt confusion, not his stomach. Who, he asked. The voice inhaled sharply. That's the part that worries me most. Harry leaned closer to the phone. Tell me. The voice lowered to a whisper. Someone inside your own circle. Harry froze. What do you mean inside my circle? I mean someone who knows your schedule. Someone who knows your routines. Someone who knows your habits. Someone who knew tonight was the perfect night to hit you with that video. Harry felt his throat tighten. Give me a name, he demanded. The voice fell silent. A long silence. A dangerous silence. Then, I can't give you the name yet. Because I need confirmation. Then why tell me any of this? Harry shouted. Because before sunrise, the voice said, either the second video will drop, or the person who intervened tonight will make their next move. Harry felt the hairs rise on the back of his neck. What move? The voice paused again, and said the last thing Harry expected. They're coming to see you. Harry blinked. Who's coming to see me? The person who stopped Markus tonight. Why would they come to me? To warn you, the voice said. Or to manipulate you. Or to finish what someone else started. Harry's pulse hammered. So I'm being visited by either a savior or an enemy. Yes. And I won't know which one until they arrive. Exactly. Harry swallowed, mind racing. Where should I go? The voice gave a short, grim laugh. It's too late for that. What does that mean? It means, the voice whispered, they're already on their way. The words repeated in Prince Henry's mind like a warning siren that wouldn't shut off. They're already on their way. Already. On their way. To him. A shiver ran down his spine, sharp and electric. The kind that doesn't come from cold but from the sudden, visceral realization that danger isn't theoretical. It's close enough to breathe on your neck. He looked around the empty parking lot. Too empty. Too still. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that feels staged. You need to tell me who's coming, Henry said into the phone, his voice lower now, controlled but edged with panic. I told you, the voice replied. I don't have confirmation yet. You know, you just don't want to say it. If I name the wrong person, you'll make the wrong move. Henry's grip tightened on the phone. What do they want from me? Why come here? To pressure you, the voice said. To guide your next move. Or to trap you. Henry swallowed hard. What am I supposed to do? Just sit here waiting for some stranger to knock on my car window. No, the voice replied. Drive. Now. Henry shoved the keys back into the ignition, but before he turned them, something caught his eye. Headlights. Far at the edge of the lot. A single vehicle. Dark. Unmoving. He hadn't noticed it before. Or maybe it hadn't been there before. His pulse skyrocketed. Someone's here, he whispered. Describe the vehicle, the voice instructed. Henry stared at the dark SUV, sitting perfectly still under a flickering street lamp. Black. Tinted windows. No front plate. The voice didn't hesitate. That's not the visitor, the voice said. That's surveillance. Henry froze. But the visitor is coming separately, the voice continued. You need to leave. Now. Henry twisted the key. The engine roared to life. But the moment the headlights illuminated the lot, the black SUV's engine turned over as well, like it had been waiting for that exact cue. Henry's breath caught. They're following me, he said. No, the voice corrected. They're tracking you. They won't make a move yet. They need to see how you respond to pressure. To pressure? Henry said. This feels like a hunt. It is, the voice said simply. But not to kill you. To corner you. Henry slammed his foot on the accelerator. The car shot forward. He didn't look back. He didn't need to. He could feel the SUV moving as well. Where am I going? He demanded as he turned onto the main road. A public location, the voice said. Somewhere they won't risk making contact. Henry's knuckles whitened. They're still tailing me. Good, the voice said. Let them. They want to see if you run home. They want to see if you go to Mara. They want to see whether you trust her or not. That hit Henry like a punch. It hadn't even crossed his mind to drive home. And the fact that it hadn't, that shook him more than he wanted to admit. You need to understand something, Henry, the voice added. Your reaction right now determines how phase 4 unfolds. If you panic, they escalate. If you confront Mara, they release the next video. If you go to the Calderon Palace, they paint you as unstable. Every path they expect you to take ends with you losing. Then what path am I supposed to take? Henry snapped. The one they didn't predict. And what's that? Meet the visitor. Henry's breath stopped. What? You have to meet them, the voice repeated. Whoever intervened tonight, whoever disrupted Marcel Ainsworth's timeline, they know something. Something crucial. If you don't hear them out, you'll be playing this game blind. Henry's heart hammered. You're telling me to walk straight into a trap? No, the voice said. I'm telling you to walk into a crossroads. Henry exhaled shakily. Where? He asked. You'll know when they show themselves. Henry cursed loudly. Can you stop talking like you're narrating a spy novel and just tell me what I'm dealing with? Henry, the voice said, suddenly sharper. This is bigger than a marriage scandal. Bigger than Marcel. Bigger than the edited video. Someone has launched a coordinated psychological operation against you. And the person coming to meet you might be the only one who can explain why. Henry didn't respond. He couldn't. His chest felt tight, his throat constricted. He drove, and drove, and drove. Block after block blurred past in streaks of light. Buildings glowing, street lamps humming, shadows stretching across the pavement. The SUV kept a steady distance behind him, never drifting too close, never falling too far. A shark circling its prey, waiting for the perfect moment to bite. Henry cut across the bridge, made a sharp turn into the city's older district, and finally pulled into a well-lit, somewhat busy late-night cafe parking lot. A public place. People around. Cameras. Witnesses. Safe. Or as safe as anything could be tonight. He parked. The SUV didn't follow him into the lot. It parked across the street instead, headlights off, engine humming quietly. Watching. He got out of the car, heart pounding as he scanned the area. Then he saw someone walking toward him. A single figure. Hooded. Steady. Unhurried. Henry felt his throat tighten. Are you seeing this? Henry whispered into the phone. Yes, the voice said. Or rather, I expected this. Who is it? Henry asked. The figure stepped closer. The hood fell back, and Henry felt the world tilt. It wasn't an enemy. It wasn't a stranger. It wasn't a spy, or a leak, or a shadowy figure from his past. It was someone he had seen, day after day, inside his own home. Someone he trusted. Someone with access to everything. Someone with a motive he never even considered. Henry, the person said quietly. We need to talk. Henry felt his heart stop, because standing in front of him was Lysandra Vale, Mara Kingston's personal assistant. A woman who knew Mara's schedule, her passwords, her travel plans, her contacts, her vulnerabilities, her secrets. A woman who always stood 2 steps behind Mara, but now stood face to face with Henry in the middle of the night. And her expression? Not fearful, not guilty, not confused. It was something far more alarming. Determined. Henry lowered the phone from his ear as Lysandra approached. We don't have much time, she said. They're accelerating the plan. His pulse pounded. Whose plan? Henry whispered. Lysandra's eyes darkened. Marcel's? Or the people behind him, she said. Neither. I stopped Marcel tonight because he was being used. But the real threat, the one you haven't even glimpsed yet, is already moving. Henry took a step back, breath catching in his throat. What are you talking about? He demanded. Lysandra glanced over her shoulder at the black SUV. They don't care about Marcel anymore, she said. And they don't care about you, not really. What they want is Mara. Henry froze. Mara, he whispered. Yes, Lysandra said. You were never the target. The video wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to push Mara into a decision she's been avoiding. What decision? Henry asked. Lysandra looked him dead in the eyes. To walk away from you. Henry felt the ground drop beneath him. But why would she? She won't. Lysandra interrupted. That's why they escalated. That's why they used Marcel. That's why they used the video. Henry's chest tightened. What do they want from her? Lysandra leaned in. The same thing they wanted from her before she married you. Henry's breath caught. And what's that? Lysandra's voice lowered to a whisper. Control. Henry felt a chill crawl up his spine. But before he could respond, before he could process the meaning behind her words, before he could demand clarity, a car door slammed. Both of them turned. The black SUV had stopped watching from afar. Now, someone was getting out, and that someone was walking directly toward them. Lysandra's face paled. It's too late, she whispered. They're here. The man who stepped out of the black SUV moved with the calm precision of someone who had already decided how this encounter would end. Not rushed, not startled, not curious. He walked with purpose. the kind that made Henry's pulse quicken and Lysandra's breath catch. His silhouette cut through the parking lot lights like a blade. A dark coat, gloves, shoulders straight, a gait too controlled, too calculated to belong to a simple observer. Henry instinctively stepped in front of Lysandra, even though he wasn't sure whether she was a threat or an ally. His instinct overrode logic. Something about her fear felt real. The man stopped about 15 feet away. No words, no greeting, just a stare, empty and cold, the kind of stare that made Henry's stomach twist. "Don't talk to him," Lysandra whispered urgently. "Not yet. He's not here to negotiate." Henry swallowed hard. "Then why is he here?" "To deliver a message," she said. "And trust me, you don't want to hear it." But the man clearly intended otherwise. "Prince Henry," the man finally said, voice smooth, steady, emotionless. "We've been waiting for you." "We?" Henry asked, every muscle tightening. "Yes," the man said. "You're late." Lysandra stepped forward, placing herself slightly beside Henry, not fully with him, not fully on her own. A neutral position. "You shouldn't be here," she said to the man. "Marcel failed. The operation is compromised." The man tilted his head, studying her like she was an object instead of a person. "Phase 3 is incomplete," he said. "But Phase 4 begins tonight regardless." Henry felt a cold tremor ripple through him. Phase 4. The phase the anonymous caller had warned him about. The phase involving the leak. The escalation. The destruction. And now this stranger was confirming it. "You think you can continue after being exposed?" Lysandra said, her voice fiercely steady despite the tension. "Henry knows the video is fake." "Fake," the man replied, amused. "Truth is irrelevant. Perception is what matters." Henry felt anger flare inside him. "Who are you?" he demanded. The man ignored the question. Instead, he stepped closer. Just one step, but it was enough to set off every alarm bell inside Henry's body. "Your reaction tonight was informative," the man said. "You behaved as predicted. You isolated yourself. You avoided Mara. You contacted an outside source. And now you stand here, waiting to be told what to do next." Henry clenched his fists. "You orchestrated this," he said. "You used Marcel to get to me." "We used Marcel," the man corrected. Past tense. His usefulness ended hours ago. Lysandra stiffened. "What did you do to him?" The man shrugged casually. "Nothing permanent." Yet, Henry's pulse hammered. "Why?" he demanded. "What do you want with Mara?" The man's expression finally shifted, just slightly, into something resembling interest. "What everyone wants," he said. "What certain groups have wanted from her for years." "Control," Henry whispered, remembering Lysandra's words. The man smiled faintly. "See? You do understand." Henry took a step closer, fury replacing fear. "You think you can break her by breaking me?" he asked. "Yes," the man replied without hesitation. "Because Mara Kingston is loyal to you. And loyalty is leverage." Lysandra hissed under her breath. "He's revealing too much. That means Phase 4 is already underway." Henry turned toward her. "Underway how?" The man answered for her. "You shouldn't have left your home, Your Highness." Henry's blood ran cold. "What does that mean?" he asked. The man's smile widened, a predator's smile. "It means the second video has already been delivered." Henry felt the world crash around him. "No," he whispered. "That's impossible." "It was delivered," the man repeated. "Directly to Mara." Henry staggered back a step. Mara, alone, at home, receiving the second manipulated video, the one designed to show a false confession, a fabricated betrayal, a lie so convincingly constructed it could shatter a marriage in minutes. The man watched Henry's panic with cold satisfaction. "She will be questioning you already," he said. "She will doubt. She will fear. She will assume you believe the worst of her. And when you return home, she will not be the same." Henry's breathing grew shallow. "She won't believe it," he said. "She'll see through it." "Will she?" the man asked. Henry froze. Because deep down, beneath the loyalty, beneath the love, beneath the trust, there was a truth he didn't want to face. Mara had been frightened weeks ago. Frightened by rumors. Frightened by threats. Frightened by the people from her past who resurfaced. And fear erodes logic. Fear magnifies doubt. Fear makes lies feel like truths. Lysandra stepped forward, fury blazing in her eyes. "You're not getting to her," she said. "Not if I can help it." The man turned his cold gaze on her. Lysandra Vale, he said. You've been very inconvenient this evening. You were sloppy, she snapped. You underestimated Marcel. You underestimated Henry. And you underestimated me. You misunderstand, the man replied, pulling a small device from his coat pocket. A sleek, black square with a blinking green light. We didn't underestimate you. We counted on you. Henry's heart dropped. What is that? He asked. A recorder, the man said. It captured everything you two have discussed tonight, including your admission that you knew about the operation. Lysandra's eyes widened. You wouldn't. Oh, but we will, the man said. Tomorrow morning, the edited version of your conversation will be leaked. It will be crafted to show that you, Lysandra Vale, orchestrated the fake videos to sabotage Mara's marriage. Henry felt his throat constrict. No, he said. You can't. That will destroy her. Mara trusts her. Yes, the man said simply, which is why it will work. Lysandra looked stunned, genuinely stunned, for the first time. You're framing me, she whispered. We are using you, the man corrected. Framing implies malice. This is strategy. Henry stepped forward, voice shaking with fury. You think you can manipulate every angle, every person, every reaction, but you haven't accounted for one thing. And what is that? The man asked. Henry squared his shoulders. I'm still standing. The man chuckled. You won't be for long. Henry lunged forward. Lysandra grabbed his arm before he got more than one step. No, she whispered. This is what they want. The man watched with clinical interest. You see, Henry, he said. Marcel Ainsworth was never the threat. Lysandra Vale is not the threat. The real threat is coming now, and not even I can stop them. Henry froze. What do you mean coming? The man stepped backward, raising a hand as if signaling something. A low hum filled the air. Henry turned his head. A second vehicle. Not an SUV. A sedan. Sleek. Unmarked. Approaching slowly. Your true visitor has arrived, the man said. Lysandra's grip tightened violently around Henry's arm. That's not them, she whispered. The man smirked. Oh, it absolutely is. The sedan rolled to a stop. The door opened, and the person who stepped out made Henry's blood run cold. Not a stranger. Not an agent. Not a shadowy figure from the outside. It was someone he knew. Someone he trusted. Someone he never imagined could be involved. A figure from the Calderon inner circle. Someone with access to his home. Access to Mara. Access to their lives. Good evening, Henry, the newcomer said calmly. Henry's voice barely came out. You. The man from the SUV smiled. And now, he said, Phase 5 begins. The moment the masked figure shouted, that's the target. Prince Henry felt reality fracture. Time didn't slow, it stretched, snapped, then whipped back like a rubber band hitting his chest. Instinct screamed at him to run. Logic screamed at him to freeze. Panic screamed at him to do both at the same time. The parking lot, once empty and echoing, now became a battlefield. The extraction team moved with a synchronized precision Henry had only ever seen in specialized military units, the kind trained not merely to capture, but to neutralize. Henry moved. Lysandra screamed again, grabbing his arm. But Henry couldn't. Not yet. He needed answers, even if they came while he was running for his life. Rowan stepped in front of him, one arm out as though he could shield Henry from an entire tactical squad with a single shoulder. Back off, Rowan shouted toward the masked figures. He's under my protection. The team ignored him entirely. A voice from behind one of the masks barked. You're compromised, Captain Hale. Step aside. Henry's chest constricted. Captain Hale, Rowan's former military rank, before he joined Henry's personal detail. The extraction team wasn't rogue. They knew Rowan. They recognized him. They outranked him. Rowan spun toward Henry, eyes blazing with urgency. Henry, they aren't here to capture you for interrogation, Rowan said. They're here to disappear you. Henry's skin went cold. Disappear me? He whispered. Yes, Rowan said. If you refuse to walk away from Mara, you're considered a liability. Before Henry could process the words, a deafening blast echoed across the lot, a stun grenade hitting the pavement nearby. The explosion wasn't lethal, but it was disorienting, a blinding flash of white light, followed by a concussive wave that rattled Henry's bones. Henry staggered backward. His vision swam. His ears rang. The world flickered like a glitching reel of film. Through the distortion he saw Lysandra pulling him toward the cafe doors. Rowan reaching inside his coat for something. A device, a weapon, a signal. The extraction team spreading out, forming a wide semicircle. And the man from the SUV stepping back with calm detachment, watching the chaos he helped orchestrate. Then Henry's hearing started to return, but everything sounded like it was underwater. Run. Fall back. Secure the asset. Move, Henry. He blinked rapidly, vision sharpening just in time to see one masked figure launch forward, reaching for him. Rowan intercepted, slamming into the figure with the force of a battering ram. Go, Rowan bellowed. I'll hold them. Lysandra yanked Henry with a strength he didn't know she possessed. But Henry resisted, digging his heels into the asphalt. No, he said. I'm not leaving without answers. Lysandra whirled on him, eyes blazing with the kind of fury only fear can fuel. Henry, if you don't run right now, you won't live long enough to hear answers. The masked team advanced again, faster this time. Decision time was over. Lysandra didn't wait for him to choose. She shoved him hard, sending him stumbling behind a concrete pillar near the cafe entrance. Another flash grenade exploded, lighting the night like a false sunrise. Rowan lunged at two operatives at once, tackling them to the ground with brutal efficiency. He moved with the precision of a man who had fought too many battles and was ready to fight one more, even if it killed him. Lysandra, Henry shouted as she dragged him along the building's edge. Who are they? Who sent them? She didn't answer until they reached the far corner of the lot, a place shielded from the headlights, the SUV's vantage point, and the extraction team. Then she turned, chest heaving, face pale. They're not after you because of the video, she said. They're after you because you weren't supposed to survive Phase 5. Henry's heart slammed against his ribs. Phase 5, he repeated. Lysandra nodded sharply. The operation was originally designed to destroy your marriage, she said. But you weren't supposed to unravel. You were supposed to confront Mara violently. That confrontation would justify your removal. Henry felt the ground pitch beneath him. Removal, he repeated. By who? Lysandra shook her head. It doesn't matter right now. What matters is. A bullet struck the pillar inches from her head. Concrete exploded. Henry ducked, covering his head as debris rained down. Shots. Real shots. Not warning fire. Not non-lethal rounds. Actual bullets. They're switching tactics. Lysandra shouted. We need to get inside. She grabbed his hand and sprinted toward the cafe entrance. But before they reached it, the door burst open from the inside. A terrified barista stood frozen in the doorway. What's happening out? Move. Lysandra shouted, shoving Henry inside as she forced the barista to duck behind the counter. Henry stumbled into the cafe, lights flickering overhead, pastries on display, coffee machines humming. An absurd contrast to the chaos erupting outside. Lysandra slammed the door shut and dragged a table in front of it. You think that's going to stop them? Henry gasped. It won't, she said, but it might slow them long enough. Henry grabbed her arm. Tell me what's happening, he said. All of it. Now. Lysandra looked at him with eyes filled with something he had not expected. Guilt. Henry, she said softly. I never wanted you involved. Involved in what? Henry pressed. A beat. A breath. A decision. Lysandra lowered her voice. In the program. Henry felt a chill climb up his spine. What program? He whispered. Lysandra swallowed. The Kingston Initiative. Henry stared at her. What the hell is that? It's the organization Mara was recruited into when she was 19, Lysandra said. Before she ever crossed paths with you. Before she knew who you were. Before your worlds collided. Henry felt a wave of nausea. Mara was recruited, he said. Recruited into what? A political program? Not political, Lysandra corrected. Strategic. Henry's pulse pounded. What does that even mean? Lysandra stepped back, rubbing her temples. You need to understand, she said. Mara didn't know everything. She thought she was joining a mentorship network, a global leadership funnel, an accelerator program, or so she believed. Henry shook his head slowly. No, he whispered. No, Mara would never. She didn't know. Lysandra snapped. She didn't realize the people backing it had their own agenda. She didn't realize her success was being engineered. Henry swallowed. Engineered? How? Lysandra gestured to the unfolding chaos outside. This, she said. This operation. These people. This isn't about destroying your marriage. It's about reclaiming an asset they believe belongs to them. Mara. Henry's breathing stuttered. An asset, he repeated. My wife is not an asset. To you, she's a partner, Lysandra said. To them, she's an investment. Henry felt the floor shift. Mara never told me anything like this, he said. Because she doesn't know, Lysandra said. She knows pieces, fragments, but not the full machinery. And how do you know? Henry asked, voice trembling. Lysandra went silent. Henry's stomach dropped. You're part of it, he whispered. Lysandra didn't answer. Her silence was an answer. Henry staggered back. You were placed with her. Lysandra flinched. Not to hurt her, she said. To protect her. By lying to her. Henry demanded. By becoming part of this operation? I never wanted to be, Lysandra said. I was assigned. But somewhere along the way, I stopped working for them. Henry shook his head, voice breaking. How can I trust anything you say? Before Lysandra could respond, the cafe door exploded inward, with splintering into shards. The extraction team surged into the cafe like a wave of shadows. Lysandra grabbed Henry's wrist. Don't freeze now, she shouted. Follow me. But Henry couldn't move. Every exit was blocked. Every window covered. Every chance of escape narrowing by the second. The masked leader stepped forward, raising a hand. Prince Henry, he said through a modulator. You will come with us now. Henry stood his ground. No, he said. I'm not going anywhere until someone tells me exactly what Mara is involved in. You'll learn everything, the man replied. After you're secured. Lysandra stepped between them. You're not taking him, she said. You don't have the authority to stop us, the leader replied. You underestimate me, she snapped. She pulled something from her coat, a small metallic card embedded with a glowing blue chip. The extraction team froze. Even Henry recognized the shift. The leader tilted his head. You have one of those, he said. Yes, Lysandra said. And if you take another step, I activate it. Henry's voice shook. What is that? Lysandra kept her eyes on the masks. A failsafe. The leader raised his hand again. Lysandra Vale, he said. You know what activating that means. Yes, she said. Total data wipe on every Kingston Initiative asset in this region, including Mara. Henry felt his chest seize. Mara, he whispered. What do you mean, including Mara? The leader stepped back warily. Don't bluff, he warned. I'm not, Lysandra said. You've pushed me far enough. Henry stared at the glowing chip, then at Lysandra, then at the extraction team. What does that device do? He demanded. Lysandra finally looked at him, and her answer wasn't soft. It erases everything, she said. Every file, every record, every trace. It wipes the initiative's influence from Mara's life forever. Henry's breath caught. That sounds like a good thing. Lysandra's face fell. No, Henry. It also wipes her. The leader tensed. Last warning, he barked. Lysandra tightened her grip on the device. Don't come any closer, she said, or I erase the most valuable asset you have. Henry stepped toward her urgently. Lysandra, stop. Just tell me. But before he could finish, the cafe lights flickered. The floor vibrated. Metal groaned. And a deafening crash erupted from the kitchen as someone else forced their way in through the back entrance. A new player, a new threat, a new twist. Henry whipped around, and his entire world detonated. Because stepping through the back doorway, hair disheveled, face ashen, breathing ragged, was Mara Kingston. The moment the masked figure shouted, "That's the target," Prince Henry felt reality fracture. Time didn't slow, it stretched, snapped, then whipped back like a rubber band hitting his chest. Instinct screamed at him to run. Logic screamed at him to freeze. Panic screamed at him to do both at the same time. The parking lot, once empty and echoing, now became a battlefield. The extraction team moved with a synchronized precision Henry had only ever seen in specialized military units, the kind trained not merely to capture, but to neutralize. Henry moved. Lysandra screamed again, grabbing his arm. But Henry couldn't. Not yet. He needed answers, even if they came while he was running for his life. Rowan stepped in front of him, one arm out as though he could shield Henry from an entire tactical squad with a single shoulder. Back off. Rowan shouted toward the masked figures. He's under my protection. The team ignored him entirely. A voice from behind one of the masks barked. You're compromised, Captain Hale. Step aside. Henry's chest constricted. Captain Hale. Rowan's former military rank. before he joined Henry's personal detail. The extraction team wasn't rogue. They knew Rowan. They recognized him. They outranked him. Rowan spun toward Henry, eyes blazing with urgency. "Henry, they aren't here to capture you for interrogation," Rowan said. "They're here to disappear you." Henry's skin went cold. "Disappear me?" he whispered. "Yes," Rowan said. "If you refuse to walk away from Mara, you're considered a liability." Before Henry could process the words, a deafening blast echoed across the lot, a stun grenade hitting the pavement nearby. The explosion wasn't lethal, but it was disorienting. A blinding flash of white light, followed by a concussive wave that rattled Henry's bones. Henry staggered backward. His vision swam. His ears rang. The world flickered like a glitching reel of film. Through the distortion he saw, Lysandra pulling him toward the cafe doors. Rowan reaching inside his coat for something. A device, a weapon, a signal. The extraction team spreading out, forming a wide semicircle. And the man from the SUV stepping back with calm detachment, watching the chaos he helped orchestrate. Then Henry's hearing started to return, but everything sounded like it was underwater. "Run. Fall back. Secure the asset. Move, Henry." He blinked rapidly, vision sharpening just in time to see one masked figure launch forward, reaching for him. Rowan intercepted, slamming into the figure with the force of a battering ram. "Go," Rowan bellowed. "I'll hold them." Lysandra yanked Henry with a strength he didn't know she possessed. But Henry resisted, digging his heels into the asphalt. "No," he said. "I'm not leaving without answers." Lysandra whirled on him, eyes blazing with the kind of fury only fear can fuel. "Henry, if you don't run right now, you won't live long enough to hear answers." The masked team advanced again, faster this time. Decision time was over. Lysandra didn't wait for him to choose. She shoved him hard, sending him stumbling behind a concrete pillar near the cafe entrance. Another flash grenade exploded, lighting the night like a false sunrise. Rowan lunged at two operatives at once, tackling them to the ground with brutal efficiency. He moved with the precision of a man who had fought too many battles and was ready to fight one more, even if it killed him. "Lysandra!" Henry shouted as she dragged him along the building's edge. "Who are they? Who sent them?" She didn't answer until they reached the far corner of the lot, a place shielded from the headlights, the SUV's vantage point, and the extraction team. Then she turned, chest heaving, face pale. "They're not after you because of the video," she said. "They're after you because you weren't supposed to survive Phase 5. Henry's heart slammed against his ribs. "Phase 5, he repeated. Lysandra nodded sharply. "The operation was originally designed to destroy your marriage," she said. "But you weren't supposed to unravel. You were supposed to confront Mara violently. That confrontation would justify your removal." Henry felt the ground pitch beneath him. "Removal," he repeated. "By who?" Lysandra shook her head. "It doesn't matter right now. What matters is..." A bullet struck the pillar inches from her head. Concrete exploded. Henry ducked, covering his head as debris rained down. Shots. Real shots. Not warning fire. Not non-lethal rounds. Actual bullets. "They're switching tactics," Lysandra shouted. "We need to get inside." She grabbed his hand and sprinted toward the cafe entrance. But before they reached it, the door burst open from the inside. A terrified barista stood frozen in the doorway. What's happening out?" "Move," Lysandra shouted, shoving Henry inside as she forced the barista to duck behind the counter. Henry stumbled into the cafe, lights flickering overhead, pastries on display, coffee machines humming. An absurd contrast to the chaos erupting outside. Lysandra slammed the door shut and dragged a table in front of it. "You think that's going to stop them?" Henry gasped. "It won't," she said, "but it might slow them long enough." Henry grabbed her arm. "Tell me what's happening," he said. "All of it. Now." Lysandra looked at him with eyes filled with something he had not expected. "Guilt." "Henry," she said softly, "I never wanted you involved." "Involved in what?" Henry pressed. "A beat. A breath. A decision." Lysandra lowered her voice. "In the program." Henry felt a chill climb up his spine. "What program?" he whispered. Lysandra swallowed. "The Kingston Initiative." Henry stared at her. "What the hell is that?" "It's the organization Mara was recruited into when she was 19, Lysandra said. "Before she ever crossed paths with you. Before she knew who you were." before your worlds collided. Henry felt a wave of nausea. Mara was recruited, he said. Recruited into what? A political program? Not political, Lysandra corrected. Strategic. Henry's pulse pounded. What does that even mean? Lysandra stepped back, rubbing her temples. You need to understand, she said. Mara didn't know everything. She thought she was joining a mentorship network, a global leadership funnel, an accelerator program, or so she believed. Henry shook his head slowly. No, he whispered. No, Mara would never. She didn't know. Lysandra snapped. She didn't realize the people backing it had their own agenda. She didn't realize her success was being engineered. Henry swallowed. Engineered? How? Lysandra gestured to the unfolding chaos outside.